Okay, as you know, we are here today, okay, to have a constructive dialogue with the county executive about the status and support of the cultural diverse groups. For now, let's introduce ourselves around the table. Again, my name is Rashida Bright. I'm African Affairs Advisory Group. Next.
I'm Sissy.
How you doing?
Good.
Tiffany worked for me when I was over on the council side. So, I guess I wanted to come here and listen, so I expect to hear more from you than you probably hear from me. I've been on the council 12 years, and I think the Office of Community Partnership plays a really important role in the county. I found, like, when I was out campaigning and meeting with lots of different groups, how important the different liaison groups were to the communities. I mean, you don't get that sense from just sitting on the council, but when you're out and you start talking with people, you realize that just regular folks kind of identify with their groups and identify with the groups that represent them here in the county, and I was pretty overwhelmed by that. I thought that it was a really good sign. So I was happy to see how the reaction was in the community. My goal is to use the groups more. I mean, I think that I feel like we need to do a better job of getting the county's message into the community, and we also need to do a better job of getting information back to the community. You all are pretty, more so than any other groups in the county, tightly linked in to the different communities that we have. And I've got to make policy decisions that affect a pretty wide range of diverse communities. And absent feedback from people, it's hard to know whether you're doing the right thing or not. And to remind people that I think my intentions are pretty good. I look at myself as a progressive, and I know generally what I want to do, but I don't walk in anybody in this room's shoes. My world is different, and so I don't presume that because I think something's a good idea, that it may not be a good idea, or that whatever I think ought to be done is what ought to be done, because that's my perception coming from my lens, and that's different than your lens. And so what I want to strengthen in the community is input from people whose experiences are different than mine, so that when I have to make decisions and think about what it is I want to do, I know that they're more reflective of the community than simply my own personal sense of what is good for the community or what communities want. So I feel like this is always a learning experience for me, and I've had some really interesting conversations with people over the last couple of years about community and what it means and how people see what the county does, and whether my notion of equity is the same as everybody else's notion of equity. And it wasn't always, what I understood wasn't always what other people understood. So I'm open to, I want to be a partner, and I want to learn, I want to make sure you all are engaged. I don't want to do something and have people surprised. I don't want to be surprised when I do something and discover that I did the wrong thing. So I prefer to have a nice, robust, two-way communication between all the groups and myself, so that we're all clear about what we're working on. I want to be sure that when we do policies, that you get presentations from my staff about what the policies are and why we're going to do it. We had a long discussion about a health policy that would have involved everybody going into a central place to sign up, which seemed like a really good thing until you realize there are people who are afraid of going into a central place and signing up, and some people who can't sign up at all. And you can't lose your access to healthcare services because there are reasons, in this case immigration reasons, why you can't sign up. So there was a policy that was meant to make us more efficient that probably would have decreased usage of county services or made people afraid to use county services. So without the input that we got back from people, we wanted to have known that. They were ready to go ahead with this. And I just asked them not to until we had a discussion about it and understood what all the upsetness was that I was hearing. And it was a good meeting, and we were able to pull ourselves back from something we were about to do. So I prefer to have as few of those incidents as possible. So I want to make sure that, and I've talked to Diane, I was sure here, but she is sick. And I've talked to her about making sure that our communications are better going out to you, and that also your feedback is more direct coming back to us. So that's sort of my general framework. I mean, I like the work you do, so I don't need specific plans other than to help, hope that we can figure out how you get more information to and from your communities. And you're linked, you're my best link to those communities. I want to make sure I use you better. So let's just open it up and chat.
If my nations are looking at those priorities and how they are affected, because people are in different situations, so everyone is going to be affected in a different way. And one of the things that came to mind when you were talking about the policy and kind of getting bad feedback on it and changing, I think as we look at change, the unintended consequences of our decisions are coming to haunt us at times if we don't, what I consider, do a 360-degree kind of view of what the change is going to do, And so anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there for you.
Well, we've been in this, and I'm going to say this directly. There's no other population as impaired but African Americans in this country. Nobody else got dragged through slavery and 400 years of racism the way things happen in the United States. So part of what this means for us is being especially aware of what the impacts are on this community and how we begin to ameliorate those activities. Nobody should be afraid that the price of this is going to be any loss of diversity or any loss of a sense of what do we do to achieve social justice. It's really about, people like me who are in power making sure we understand the special legacy this country has to deal with, and we start dealing with it. Because when I'm 69 years old, I'm born and raised here. In my lifetime, we've never dealt with it. Didn't deal with it when I was in school. Didn't deal with it when I was a teacher. And so we're determined that we're going to make sure that we talk about these things and we think about these things. But nobody should feel uncomfortable that it means your place will get changed. It just means we've got this extra burden that we've got to deal with. And so in the effort to be inclusive and deal with justice in general, we are aware that something went seriously amiss here in this country, and we got to deal with it. And we may be the only place doing it. There are a few places doing it. But eventually I hope that Americans can come to terms with being such a racist society. It's a heavy burden. We got to deal with this at some point.
Well, that item actually overflows.
Understanding of some of your early appointments, and they are not necessarily Montgomery Countyans enmeshed in what we built here, and that's helpful. My question to you is that in the past, DC, Prince George's County, and Montgomery County did form, it may have been mostly symbolic, but formed some kind of partnership regarding the issue of the homeless and poverty in the region. As we see the demographic shift in those two jurisdictions as well as ours, do you envision issues that may take you outside of Montgomery County into partnerships with those two jurisdictions also, in terms of leadership, collaboration at the top of the pile?
Look, I hope so. But I mean, there are things that DC does I do not want to repeat. DC seems to be absolutely obtuse to the gentrification of the city, the bleaching of the city, so to speak, and the displacement of poor people. I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to sit back and watch park and planning rezone neighborhoods that are low income in the hopes that somebody knocks down all the buildings and brings in a bunch of people of a different class. So I'm not going to shut up about that. We're dealing with something in Twinbrook today. Twinbrook Road goes from Veers Mill to Rockville Pike. Park and Planning came back with a proposal to rezone all of the older apartments on Twinbrook Parkway. 45% of the people are at 200% of poverty or less. There is no chance that those people are going back into those apartment buildings. None. And, they don't have, half of them probably don't have the right status. They're the wrong family size. A lot of the older buildings will let families live in a more crowded way. No one's going to let you do that in a brand new building that has a bunch of middle class folks living in it. This, to me, is a threat to an enormous part, or an enormous community. And the idea that I've got a planning department that is lacking a racial equity lens, who can plan changing a community just willy-nilly, just as this is a zoning issue. If I was going to change someplace, I'd talk about the social programs I was going to put in there. I'd talk about addressing educational issues. I'd talk about making sure every community is whole. I would not say, how much density do I give you to tear down these buildings and build another set of buildings? So I'm not going to be shy about stuff like this. And I think the other jurisdictions seem less concerned with that now. I'm still concerned with that. I don't know where these people will go if they can't stay in DC, if they can't stay in Prince George's County, and I decided they're not going to stay here. Where do they go? Kind of a fundamental social justice issue. But to the extent that I can work with them, I've worked with them on minimum wage. We worked together on this minimum, at the state bill on minimum wage. We pushed, because Prince George's County's concern was they can't afford the disability supplement for the disability providers. And we all give 125% of minimum wage to people who provide for disabilities. For some of the counties, Prince George's County was a big lift. So part of the minimum wage bill is going to be another bill that requires the state to increase its supplement to disability agencies so that they're not unable to meet the higher wage and also provide the supplement. So that's something we've worked together on. I envision, I like Angela, we've had conversations already, so I expect to work with her. I'm going to meet with Earl Bowser. I mean, there are lots of places we can cooperate and work together, and we should. On homelessness, we absolutely have to, because we've got a population that can get on a bus and shift residents, and we've got to figure out how do we deal with this. That's a collective problem, not an individual problem. I didn't have a plan to restructure your groups. I'm not coming in assuming the groups don't work. I'm assuming that maybe I'd like you to figure out how we make you more interactive in terms of flow of information. But I'm not starting with an assumption that I need to restructure you. If you all feel like you need to see things a little bit differently, then I'd want you to work with Diane and make sure that gets conveyed to me about what kind of changes you think would make the groups stronger and more effective. From where I sat as a council member, I was never in a position to judge, what you did and whether the issues are structural. I mean, I've tried to look at the county government more broadly in that everybody kind of does what the person at the top tells them to do. And so I don't know what people want to do or what you would do if you were more unfettered. So it's hard for me to tell as a liaison. I'll look at the structure, because I do agree that it should be an issue. Money's terrible. We wrote down, when I got elected, my second day in office, they told me I had to cut $50 million out of this budget. Earlier this week, the state told us we had to write down $80 million in revenue, $40 million for this year, 40 million for next year. So my budget gap well, we have to come to zero, so it doesn't matter what it is at this moment. But when we started working earlier this week, our budget gap was about $170 million between a same services budget with almost no improvements at all and the revenues we had. And there's no place for me to get more revenues. The council will not vote for any tax increases. And so it's pretty clear we have no taxes. The state's not going to give us any more money. So whatever I get from the state, I'm hoping to get a little bit more money on schools so I can fill some of the holes that are in the school budget. But I have no other money coming in. And our prospects for next year, they told us you should assume $40 million less revenue next year than we told you in December you were going to have. So this has been really painful. So I spent this morning from 10 to 1, basically slicing and dicing a list of cuts I had to approve, none of which I feel particularly good about. We made some enhancements to programs where we had objectives. We tried to put more money into early childhood. We tried to put more money into homelessness and to affordable housing. We had a few places where we tried to move some money around to things that we know we've got targeted deficits. But in general, everybody will be happy if they get a budget that's pretty close to where it was last year until we get a handle on the county's budget. You all know what capital gains taxes are?
Yes.
Everybody know? People want to know? Is everybody nodding? No. Okay, I'll tell you what capital gains taxes are. You can just say it, I know it. So capital gains taxes are taxes that people pay on investments. And if your investment makes money like stocks, you buy it for one price, you sell it for a higher price, the profit is called a capital gain. Montgomery County provides 90% of the capital gains to the state of Maryland. And like 50-something people in Montgomery County provide an obscene level of the capital gains from Montgomery County, 50 people. So if they don't sell stocks and don't make money, last year it cost us $60 million in tax revenues because they held their stocks and didn't sell them at the end of the year because they're waiting for Trump's tax cut. And the tax cut didn't come, and so they didn't sell their stocks. They had $600 million less income, and it cost the county about $60 million in taxes. This number is volatile. It goes up and down. The income tax on wages is pretty steady, because unless you get massive unemployment, as long as you stay employed at the same basic level, people don't get suddenly rich, so people stay in the same jobs. So that's something you can rely on. We've got to figure out how to redo our budget so that we're setting it at a level that doesn't jump up one year and then I put a bunch of programs in that year only to lose the money the next year and then have to take out the programs. So we're going to have to make some assumptions about what's a more level of income taxes we're going to get. So we're trying to change the way we do budgeting and try to get the county on a more stable footing. After this budget's done, we're going through all the departments. We're going to start something called lean business processes. Any of you who are geeky know about this stuff, or Six Sigma, which was kind of a famous thing that Lockheed did. He's laughing about it. We're going to put people, all the departments, through a process where they identify the core mission. You look at every single job and you ask yourself, does this job contribute to the core mission? And if it doesn't contribute, it's not going to continue to exist. And the unions are going to work with us on this, because they know when I run out of money, they're the ones that lose their pay, benefits, and get fired. So they have a vested interest in getting us to a place where we're more stable and sustainable. So our goal is to start this year, it'll be a couple-year project, to try to stabilize the county budget. And we're not playing any games either this year. We're not finding magic money. We're not pretending. We're not going to inflate revenue estimates so we can say we're balancing the budget knowing that that money's never coming in. We're not doing any of that stuff. So you're going to get a pretty honest, straightforward budget, and it's going to have some lumps in it. And hopefully over a year or two, we get to work the lumps out. To your second question, I guess, what I hope to do, and I hope you all do, is to have more discussions about community issues inside the group, and either then bring them to me, because I'll continue to meet with the different advisory groups, or bring them to Diane if that's more immediate. But to make sure you guys have a conduit coming to me, we're going to make sure Diane is more tied to county decisions, that she's not simply the administrator of the OCP, but she is tasked to be able to carry whatever messages or information we have at our level, make sure that the directors get it, and liaisons get it, and then they bring it down to the community so you can give us feedback. So we're going to do what we can to facilitate you getting information to us, and us getting information to you. And I don't want anybody to be shy and feel like you can't say something. I've got a long-standing practice. Tiffany and Debbie could attest to it. People are allowed to disagree with me, and they're allowed to tell me what they think. And there's actually no penalty for that, because I need other perspectives. And you're going to hear me say, I tell people all the time, I said, I do not want a room full of mirrors just telling me what I want to hear. So I make sure that my room is full of people who've got opinions of their own, and they can tell me I like it and do it, and I don't like it. Okay?